Hello, hope everybody's doing well today. This is my first time recording a video like this, and I wanted to share my favorite romantic eyeshadow palettes today. This video has a twist. Not only am I going to share these palettes, but I'm also going to let you vote on which eyeshadow palette I'm going to wear for my own anniversary dinner this weekend. Our 29th anniversary was yesterday, but I've been feeling bad, so we put off our dinner until I'm feeling better. And so I had this great idea because I'm not sure which one I want. I have a bunch of palettes here. So at the end, I'll share with you my top 3 or 4 contenders, but it's y'all's decision. So I will wear whichever palette you choose, and I will record a get ready with me using that palette. First, I'm going to share my Viseart palettes. This is the Lila Dew. Please don't make fun of my southern accent trying to pronounce these different words. So, my very favorite color stories or colors of eyeshadow are purples, pinks, burgundies, roses, wines. My heart is just weak for those shades, particularly a rosy brown color. The second palette that we are going to look at is the Violetta. These are the petites, obviously. So here is our Violetta palette. So this side is your burgundies and pinks. This is a beautiful purple to blue duochrome, and then this can be used as an eyeliner on the lower lash line, however you choose to do it. So we're going to look at Violette Vespertine now. So this is Violette Vespertine, and you can see that it has some dusty purples. It has my beautiful brown rosy shades, some neutrals in there, and to me this palette screams romance. Next is the original Violette palette. So the Violette is a more vibrant color of purple. So there it is. I'm trying to figure out how to best there. Okay. So these more vibrant purples, they pack a little bit more of a punch, but you also have your muted purples, and then you have these rosy brown tones up top that I am just weak for. We have 2 more. We have Cashmere Chartreuse. This will get better, you guys. This is my first time doing this. So this is more muted, more of those brown rosy tones again. The shimmer shades in here are absolutely beautiful. So for a little more toned down, but still rosy romantic look. This is the original Cashmere palette. Looky there. This one, you've got some browns and you've still got some neutral colors. This is a very light purple color. Y'all will have to let me know how this is turning out. So what a pretty look this one would make. Let's just get some individual brand palettes out of the way. This was Tarte's palette for this past winter, and I didn't pick up the most recent one because I had this one, and these colors would be just beautiful for a kind of smoky romantic look. The YSL clutch palettes, the mini clutch palettes. This is Babylon Roses. Does this not scream absolute romance? It's beautiful. These shimmers up here are so vivid and so twinkly and delicate, but yet impactful on the eyes. And this is that rosy brown that I've been telling you about that just makes me feel weak every time I see one in a palette. So let's go to Chanel. We can't do a romantic palette without some Chanel, right? So this is the Chanel Tender palette. So in some lights, this looks peachy, but this is a beautiful burgundy. This is a gorgeous pink shimmer. This is a light pink as well. And on my cool skin tone, this kind of turns a little bit pink on me. So I had to include Chanel Le Beige's Tender palette. Next is the Urban Decay Naked Sin palette. They released 3 of these mini palettes last year, and very subtle. So this shade is probably why I bought the palette. This is just that rosy brown that gets me. But I thought this would be a great subtle everyday palette that you would wear to the office maybe, or just as a beautiful light look. And so I had to include this one. Next is the House Labs eyeshadow palette. This is one of 2 that she released. I haven't even had a chance to try this yet. It's very, very pretty. So this is a rosy dark brown. This is a light shimmer, and this is a real poppy color. So I think this would look good in the crease. This in the outer corner. This is liner, inner corner, and lid shade. Next is Ilia, and this one is the Cool Nude palette. Sorry, it's a little scuffed up. It's really, really hard to clean these particular palettes. So this is the cool story of my dreams, pretty much. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. This Dior palette is not a rosy palette. This is the Cashmere, can't remember the name right now. This is a rosy toned dark brown. On my eyes, this has more rose than taupe, and this also kind of pulls a little rosier on my complexion. So although it's not out there pink, even though it's a more taupey, cool color story, I couldn't help it. I had to put it in there. What is this one called? This one is Soft Cashmere. And finally, in our kind of one and done palettes, this is the NARS Holiday palette from 2023. I didn't pick up the most recent one that's $60 because I had just gotten this one. And this may have a little more reds and pinks in it than the brand new one, but they're pretty much one and the same. I haven't been able to use this palette yet either, but it is beautiful, and I wanted to put it in here as a contender. Let's look at Natasha Denona now. This is the Mini Crush palette, a very warm tone pinky color story that I adore. This is red, very red leaning. This shimmer is really impactful. So, had to give this one a mention. Another one of her mini palettes that I had to include is the Mini Love palette. This is a little bit more of a cool story. It has 2 mattes and 3 shimmers, and this just screams romantic to me. If you see me going through some of your favorite brands and I don't include a palette that you think of, it may be because it's going to be one of my top 3 contenders in the end. So stay tuned. This is her Love Face and Eye palette from last year. And this shimmer is absolutely stunning. This shade Giddy may seem a little out of place with the rest of this palette, but what I did was I used Giddy and Alka together with this shimmer, and then I used these three with the shimmer. So I made two looks with this palette, and I think the shimmer is the standout in this particular palette. Next, you knew I was going to put this one in here. This is my, let's see here. There she is. Sorry, this is kind of close quarters here. So next is the Midi Love palette. This color right here is so beautiful. But this has got your reds, your pinks, your purples. This has got everything that you need in it. I did not want to neglect affordable makeup. So these LA Girl quads came out last year, and this is the color story that I chose. This is a creamy shade with just a hint of pink. The shimmer is really pretty, and of course we've got our romantic mauves and pinks here. This is a good quality palette. Next we have the Maybelline City mini palette, and this one is Skyscape Dust. Lots of purple colors. I used this and did an all matte look with this, and it was so pretty. But this color right here has my heart, and then I deepen it up with any of these. And then if you want to, you can take like a Color Pop Super Shock shimmery shadow and put on it if you want a shimmer. Very good quality. Then I have a hard candy palette. This is the shade Purr, P-U-R-R. And this is a beautiful purpley mauve-y color story. This is good for the inner corner, and this shimmer is so impactful on the eyes. And these are only, I think, $4. Really good palettes. I have two e.l.f. palettes. The first one is the Rose Water palette. Nice mauve-y, purpley color story. This is one of my most used e.l.f. eyeshadow palettes for obvious reasons. Lastly, as far as e.l.f., we have Berry Rad. This is more of your wine colors. These are really dark and kind of murky in a good way, and they make a very sultry dark eye. Of course, I love that shade. And if you wanted to, you could take your highlighter and kind of lighten things up. Just put a little highlighter in the middle to lighten those up. Last, for affordable brands, this is the Always Blushin' by Wet n Wild. I have to be careful how I open this. It wants to break on me. So there we go. This is a pressed glitter, but I don't mind it at all. And I love being able to combine some of my more mauve colors with some of my brown and even gold colors. I think they all look very, very, very pretty together. This is one of the Kaja stack eyeshadows. This is Mauve Bouquet. Samantha March here on YouTube did a look with this palette, and we all said, okay, what did you use? Because it looked stunning on her greenish eyes. And then we all went out and bought it. This is one of my favorite travel palettes. It's so compact, but it can go with so many things. Adorable. Let's go to our Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes now. This one is Fall Romance. I love the velvet packaging, and I love the color story even more. Absolutely stunning. If you don't like dark, murky looks, This may be a little too punchy, too much for you, but I can't get enough of them. And I love to do some really rosy stuff here on the top. This is a beautiful multi-chrome, as is this one and this one. And then on the bottom lash, sometimes I'll do these deep greens, so you really do have a complete rose on your eyes. Let's go a little more retro with ABH now. We could not do this video without including Modern Renaissance. As you can see, I've taken care of this very well. I spoil my palettes. So yeah, this is that really pretty rosy. This is a pale pink, some different shades of wine, and then some neutrals sprinkled in. And this is a cult favorite by ABH. Next, for a more purpley look, so the Norvina palette, that has to come into the conversation, right? So you've got your eggplant, your more vibrant purple, your pinks, a more blue purple here, and then you can throw this mustard in the crease and then use some other colors, and it just kind of barely peeks through and gives you a hint of grunge. This is one of my all-time favorites. Two more newer palettes by ABH. I did a couple of looks with this one earlier this year. This is the ABH Cosmos palette. And I loved the looks that I got with this one. So you've got your multi-chromes here, some really beautiful shimmers right here. So what I did was I took dark matter and packed it all over my lid, or was it Galaxy? Galaxy, if you can see, it has a little bit of twinkle in there. So I took one of these and put it all over the lid, and then I put this color on top, and it just really brought it to life. Such a beautiful palette, and I love these shades for romantic looks. Last, some of you might wonder why this one's in here, but it is called the Rose Metal palette. So this is a very grungy palette, but you can see your rosy browns here. You got a cranberry shade right here. You've got a brown with a little bit of red in it here. And I absolutely love, this is one of my probably top 2 or 3 color stories. Next, I wanted to take you through my Nabla palettes. So this is one of their cutie palettes. This is the Wild Berry palette. And I played with this one quite a bit for obvious reasons. This is a gorgeous shimmer. It has pink shimmers in it, but they're not the same color as the shimmer. And then this is a multi-chrome right here. Oh my word. And then you've got your other red and berry and purple shades right here. Beautiful. The Nabla Dreamy palette is next. Let's see if I can get this entire one on the screen for you. There we go. So this is, you've got your Senorita, your Rose Gold, Lullaby, Dogma, Inception, Metal Cupid, all along the bottom. And you've got Delirium up top here. And so, yeah. This is the Nabla Read My Mind palette. Get this open. So you can see the top 2 rows here. There's 2 different quads, and those are the reasons that I chose this particular palette. This is more red, and this is more of the rosy brown color story, and you can interchange all the colors together. The other color stories are beautiful. I love blues and browns, but that's not what we're here for today. That's another video. Lastly, the Secret palette by Nabla. Beautiful packaging on this one. And I chose this one for the top row, this row, and this row. So if you focus on those, you'll see all the reasons that I consider this a very romantic palette. Next are my Sigma palettes. This is the Warm Neutrals palette. And sprinkled through this entire palette, you see lots and lots of rosy shades. When you think of this particular palette, I don't know if you're, if you feel the same as me, but right away you don't think rosy romantic, but when you open it up and look through the palette, you can see this. How gorgeous. Warm Neutrals. The Sigma Corda Rosa palette. This is more lighter and ethereal and romantic in more of a sweet way. I really love these two colors right here. So pretty. When I thought of Corda Rosa, I always thought of coral, peach, but definitely you can see the pinks in here. So pretty. Next is Sigma Enchanted palette. I love the packaging on this one. And here she is. Not overtly pink or purple, but you have light purple here. You have some pinks here, a beautiful brown rose and a darker brown rose here. And then you even have a black color to kind of really darken things. And that's all for Sigma for now. I'm not a big collector of Too Faced because I didn't kind of really come on the makeup scene until late 2021. But this one was released within the last year or two. And I really love this palette. All of it is a little cool and just a tiny bit of a rosy pinky undertone. This side over here is really what grabs me. Lots of stunning cool tone colors that blend and work together so beautifully in this palette. Again, I'm sorry, this is the natural nudes. I didn't tell you that. The other Too Faced palette that I wanted to include was the Cosmic Crush palette from 2023. So here we have these mauve shades and these purpley shades, this rosy brown shade, and some deepening shades. So again, you might not think of this palette right away as a romantic palette, but I enjoy those colors. Next, let's look at some Charlotte Tilbury palettes. This is the only quad that I have. It is Queen of Luck. And when you look at this under the lights, it does not look pinky, but this is a pink duochrome right here. And this is a rosy brown. And when I used those two together, I did, on my complexion at least, I got a very pretty rosy look. The two larger palettes that I have from Charlotte Tilbury are the Instant Eye look. I think these are great for beginners. This one is particularly beautiful, stunning, and rosy. So these are some light daytime looks and just maybe running errands. Then it says dusk look, date night, and then dream. I guess the dream is like the super sultry, super romantic look. And I don't think I'm going to get you a really good look at this palette because it's so bright. I hope I got you a good angle on it. But this, it just screams romance. The last Charlotte Tilbury large palette that I have is the Bejeweled Eyes palette. And this one is very romantic as well. These are more of your browny neutral shades. These have a little bit of rosiness to the browns. The middle obviously is the most romantic, beautiful part of this palette. Do any of y'all remember this brown Artist Couture, the Supreme Moths palette? They had 3 palettes. One was more brown, then this one, then another one that I think was more yellow and mauve-y. This is the, no, I have the brown one as well. But this is self-explanatory. These glittery shades are stunning. Next is Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. Glaminatrix is an Australian brand, and this is the Nearly Natural palette. So this pink down here is very, very pretty. There is another pink over here that's very, very gorgeous. And then just some neutral shades that have just the smallest bit of rosiness to them. And I think you could get a really romantic look out of this palette. I'm very partial to this one. This one, let's see, I'm going to try to back my camera up a little bit. This is Lunar Beauty Nude Prism. I've got it the wrong way. Look at that. So pretty. And this is the inside of it. So the top row here, you have some very pretty shades. And then the darker shades also have some rosiness, and then any of these glitters would look absolutely stunning. All right, let's look at some Huda Beauty palettes. You know we had to include her. This is Rose Court. The packaging is just stunning, as is the color story. Look at that. Sometimes you just don't need to say anything. Just move the palette around and just look at the beautiful sparkles. Next is Mercury Retrograde. Look at this rosy shade here, this pink, that, the purple in the middle. I hope this inspires you to pull your own palettes out and play with them. This is the Rose Gold Remastered. I don't know how much more romantic you could get. So pretty. Next is the Naughty palette. This is another more smoky, deep, sultry, romantic palette. And last of all, we have the new Nude palette. This is more light, but still kind of along the lines of the Naughty palette. Lots of just flat out glitters in this one. So before I tell you my favorites, I could not do a romantic palette look without including the mother of love. So this is the Divine Rose palette. These 4 Blitz Astrals are beautiful. What makes me weak is this area right in here. Now that is romantic. The next of the motherships is the very next one, Divine Rose. I think I said Divine Love. I meant Divine Rose 2. Pretty self-explanatory. Got a deep wine here, a little bit of a shimmer, something to blend with, and then some pinks, some absolutely stunning special shades in this one too. Last of the motherships is the most recent one. Controversial, but I loved it. So this is Mothership 11. This red shade here, a lot of people didn't get along with. As long as I'm very light with it, it's very good to me. The pink and the purple here, so pretty. And these mattes together, oh, such a pretty look. I know people they're tired of pink. Like I said, she's become kind of known as the mother of love, but I love it. I don't think we could do a Pat McGrath romantic review without Ritualistic Rose. Do you agree? I hope that with me moving the palette around, you can really see the beautiful purples and pinks in this quad. And then last quad is Passion Fleur. This was released in 2023. And the moment I saw these, I was in a chokehold. I think I did a look with this last year as well. I had to include some of the quints because they have very romantic color stories. This is Celestial Nirvana. When was this? 2022 or early 2023? If you guys have this one, let me know when it came out. It's so pretty. This looks brown, but it is such a beautiful rosy hue to it. Such good looks. These are from the last holiday collection. This is Bordeaux Bliss. And that's pretty self-explanatory right there. Sorry if y'all are seeing my trying to show you the colors, but you may see part of me. Next is, what is this? Sunset Romance. More typical Pat McGrath. This color and this color. They got me, you guys. They got me. Last of the quints is Lunar Nightshade. I think this was everybody's favorite. So this is a light pink. This purple has a hue when you put it on the eyes of these colors. So when you use this purple with these two, it is so stunning. Oh man. This is my favorite quint, I think. Pat McGrath, the Diamond of the First Water, the first Bridgerton palette. It's a 6-pan palette. And these colors are so pretty. Y'all are probably so sick of me going on and on about these palettes. I absolutely love makeup. This blue shade as a topper on one of these pinks with this one to darken things up. Oh, gorgeous. We also have Bridgerton 2, Belle of the Ball. People complained because they thought it was kind of similar, and there are some similarities. This looks a lot different on the eyes than the other one. This gold shade, gorgeous. And then you have your pinks and purples here. Some of these are in her vault. She took them out of decommission, and now they're for sale for discounted prices. I know this is one of them. This is from the Love collection last year. This is Iconic Infatuation. I got all three. This is the only one that I think has more of a romantic color story, that really dusty, purpley, rosy loveliness. So pretty. So this is the Bijou Brilliance Starstruck Splendor from Holiday 2023. It has 2 blushes and 9 eyeshadows. I hope this is all fitting in for you guys. So these are all mauve shades here. Pretty pink shade. I love to do these 2 together just kind of for a really beautiful blended look. A lot of people like these greens, but for me it's primarily the matte shades, and this one sparkle here is the reason why I added it in this palette. This is Bijou Brilliance. I forgot what this was. This is Jeweled Temptation from the Bijou, I can't say that word, Brilliance. And this has some really pretty rosy purpley shades in it. Her latest quad contains 3 of these shades and 1 from, I think, 2021. So I'm not going to get that one. I already have those shades. Thank you, Mother. Thank you very much, but no thank you. So all I have now to show you are really my personal top contenders. My first top contender is Melt Beauty Gemini 2. This is a deep, grungy red palette. It makes my heart go pitter-patter. I love this palette. The shades over here on this side, to me, remind me of the rose, and then these shades remind me of the dirt and the stem on the rose. And if you just want a deep, sultry, grungy, romantic look, this is the palette to go for. So this is one of my very top contenders for my anniversary dinner this weekend. Next top contender, Sigma New Mod palette. One of my very favorite palettes in my entire collection. This speaks to me. It has several of just my very, very favorite shades. I adore this palette. I could make a very romantic, either more of a light romantic look, but I see more deep, sultry looks with this particular palette as well. So Sigma New Mod is one of my top contenders. 3 more top contenders. Next, Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 palette. Oh man, I think this was my favorite palette of 2022. Look at these rosy shades. Every rosy hue you can possibly think of. And the shimmers are so impactful and so beautiful. And the quality of Patrick Ta, impeccable. So Major Dimension 2 Patrick Ta, top contender. 2 more left to go. One is brand new to my collection, Glaminatrix Rich Romantic. This was out of stock. I ordered it on a pre-order. I waited weeks for this palette, and when I got it, I was not disappointed at all. This is one of my favorite palettes in my collection, period. And it is so romantic. And the shimmers are duochrome and multichrome. They're so faceted, so beautiful. And I think this would look really pretty on my anniversary date. And last, if you thought, you know what? There's a Natasha Denona palette that I think is missing from this romantic palette review. This is the Natasha Denona Retro. And I think you've learned a lot about my tastes in the last few minutes. And this is probably in the top 2 as far as my preferred palettes for a romantic look. I'm out of words at this point. It's just beautiful. It is stunning. So there we have it. But you guys have the final say. So what will you choose for me to wear for my 29th anniversary dinner? I will give it a few days, and then when it's time to film, I will pick the winner and I will do a get ready with me, and we'll put that one on my eyes. So thank you for watching. Give me your suggestions. What's your favorite romantic palette? Did I miss anything? What do you like? I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.